Sound check one, BIA subcommittee meeting, May 13th, sound check one.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Business Improvement Area Subcommittee. I will now commence roll call. Councillor Tammy Huang.
Here.
Councillor Esther Pauls. Councillor Maureen Wilson.
Present.
Tracy from Westdale.
Here.
Susan from Waterdown. Heather from Ancaster.
Here.
Doris from Concession. Bettina from Locke. David from Dundas.
Here.
Nadine from Barton Village.
Here.
Emily from Downtown.
Here.
Stephanie from Ottawa Street. And myself. As we have quorum present, I would like to call this meeting of the Business Improvement Area Subcommittee to order at 10:30 a.m. Please be reminded that all electronic devices are to be switched to non-audible function during committee meetings. We will move on to the agenda. May I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as presented? Moved by Heather, seconded by Tracy. All in favor? Carried. Are there any declarations of interest? Seeing none, let's move on. Approval of the minutes of the previous meeting from April 15th. May I have a mover and seconder to adopt the minutes of the May 18th, 2025 meeting as presented? Moved by David. Seconded by Emily. All in favor? Carried. Okay. Items for information. Let's see here. For staff providing presentations today, please remember that presentations are now limited to 10 minutes. We'll move to 7.1, overview of planning and business improvement area framework. We withdrew that one. So now on to 7.2, journey mapping project. Nadine Newell from Barton Village BA is here to provide an overview on the journey mapping project. Go ahead, Nadine.
Hey. So yeah, just a quick sort of review of what this project is. The Open for Business Subcommittee, and so these things kind of overlap a little bit, put forward a motion for staff to report back essentially on the process of building, licensing, permitting, from the customer perspective and look at what gaps exist within that. And as a result of that, staff reached out to the BIAs, and we actually had an in-person and virtual, it was a hybrid meeting with Jen Hohall, and Christina was there as well. And some of the BIAs were represented. And we provided feedback that we are getting anecdotally from our members about these processes and where the hurdles exist and where some of the challenges are for the BIAs in supporting these processes. So the journey mapping really is about giving sort of an overview of where those challenges and as a result opportunities exist within that process or processes, to look at how they can be more streamlined, how communication can be improved, and the BIAs potentially be more of an ally through that process to support both staff and our membership. Next steps of that is for this information to be collected, and then it's actually going to go back to Open for Business, where that information will be presented, and then a deeper dive into what potential solutions exist. Sorry, I don't have any graphics.
No worries. Is that the end of your presentation?
Yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Thank you, Susie.
Okay, great. Are there any questions for Nadine? I see Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Thanks very much for that. Just in terms of accountability for information. I think I heard you say, Nadine, that the information from these meetings will be presented to the Open for Business. I'm hoping and trusting minutes were taken at these meetings so that we have clear line of sight on ensuring those meetings captured what was said.
Yes, through the chair. So staff was recording the information as we went through providing the feedback, and then they're going to sort of accumulate, and the BIAs were also invited to provide email documentation of specific members or specific properties that went through this process. And those property owners, if they agreed, their contact information was also shared with staff to have a dialogue from their perspective directly. And Jen Hohal has been responsible for collecting all of this data.
Thank you. If I could ask a question to Elsie Bates, just seeking confirmation of, if you're able to, or maybe Councillor Wang, ensuring that if this information is presented at the Open for Business subcommittee, that we have people from this committee formally in attendance. Is there crossover?
Yes, Nadine is the member, the representative from this committee on that committee.
Oh, thank you. That's great. Thank you. Those are my questions.
Okay, next up is Councillor Wayne.
Thank you. Just a reminder that the next Open for Business subcommittee will be in June. It's early June. I think it's June the 2nd or 3rd. Let me just double check my calendar. I think it's like that first week of June. Perhaps just as a quick question then to Nadine, I wonder if you are, as part of this, did you invite some of your clients to also participate in this session as well?
So through the chair, that the information for the property owners or business owners was connected directly to staff. We were able to provide that information anecdotally, but they were not specifically invited to the meeting with the BIA EDs and staff. That was done separately. But their information was shared if they individually agreed to have their contact information shared with staff to do that.
Thank you. Second question then through you, Chair, to Nadine. Was there any specific asks that you made to staff in that sort of feedback session? And is that something that we ought to be incorporating into any type of report back?
So through the chair, there were no, it wasn't an official committee meeting of any sort. So there were no motions specifically directing staff. But I do know that there are various teams that are working on collecting information and providing information, which will come back to Open for Business. And we could also make the ask from this subcommittee to have that information shared back to us. Yeah, so that information will come back, but there were no specific asks of staff. We sort of left it as we're providing the information, and then let's see what they come back with once all of the data is collected. And my understanding is that next steps is to present the information that was collected before making any sort of recommendations about changes or opportunities within the process.
So then, Chair, I wonder if there's a real opportunity for us to try and close that loop, because I worry that once that information kind of gets presented at Open for Business and it potentially gets shown here at the BIA subcommittee, my concern is that recommendations are not going to move forward. So I'm not sure what the best sort of course of action is here. And I don't know what how committee feels about participating in this type of process-driven activity. So I'll leave it there for committee to just kind of consider, mull on and think about, because my concern is that this should be substantial in terms of how we think about customer journey mapping, but how does it actually relate back? And then how do we end up closing the loop on this? That's all. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for Nadine on this? Okay. Seeing none, I will move on to 7.3. Nadine is here again to provide us with an update on the Open for Business subcommittee.
I realize this ended up being a second presentation on the agenda. It's very much a recap of where we're at in this process. And so it probably doesn't require a second presentation necessarily. But I did want to make a point of having the opportunity for sort of an overview of what's happening in Open for Business on our agenda moving forward.
Okay, great.
Oh, sorry.
I appreciate. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'm just being reminded specifically within the motions that were put forward from Open for Business, there was a discussion around the incentive programs that exist within the BIAs and the current sort of narrative around how they maybe are not as incentivizing as they could be because of the process. And we're hopeful that this journey mapping will allow us to determine where there may be opportunities, again, to make adjustments in the processes, even if it's just providing more information to the BIAs, as we are typically a go-to point for finding out about incentives and effectively selling them, which requires a level of confidence that the process is going to be smooth and clear and communicated effectively. And so that's where this journey mapping comes in, is to determine whether or not that's happening. And if it's not, as we've heard anecdotally, then how can we make adjustments to it so that the incentive programs as a whole can continue to exist and be as successful as they possibly can. That's it. Thank you.
Great. And we do appreciate your representation at that table, Nadine, and everything that you are bringing to us. I know that I sat on that committee years ago, and we're still having the same conversations today about the same thing. So hopefully we'll start to see some changes. Okay, we'll move on to 7.4, the Blue Box transition. Ryan Kent, the manager of waste policy and programs, is here to speak to the Blue Box transition program. Ryan, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Give me a second here to share my presentation. And if someone could just let me know if everyone can see that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Great. Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Again, my name is Ryan Kent. I'm the manager of waste policy and planning for the city of Hamilton. And I'm here to just talk about the Blue Box transition. There we go. So today I will be speaking just a couple of things. I'll give a brief background on the Blue Box transition, provide some key dates. For this group, it will be important to speak to eligible versus non-eligible sources of Blue Box collection, some timeframes, decisions, and who is doing what. So I'll start with a little bit of a background. On June 3rd, 2021, the Blue Box regulation was announced by the Ministry of Environment and Conservation Parks. So this is a provincial piece of regulation. It impacts all 444 municipalities and First Nation communities in Ontario. Key deliverables include to make a more efficient province-wide Blue Box program. So that includes having one set of acceptable materials. So as a lot of us know, municipality to municipality, these materials sometimes change. Decide on efficient collection methods and eventually better packaging. So what can be recycled and what is recycled. This group may not be aware, but as a reminder, the Blue Box program was previously funded 50% by producers. But municipalities had to do all the operation, recycle, collect it from the curb, process it. The new program will move it from 100% funded by producers, but they're also responsible for the actual collection and operation of the system. With 444 municipalities, there's a range of dates of when municipalities will actually transition. That was assigned in the actual regulation. For the city of Hamilton, ours is on April 1st, 2025. But they are ranging from July 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2025. And then the last item on here is Circular Materials Ontario. So they are a nonprofit organization that is responsible for overseeing the Blue Box program on behalf of producers. There are a lot of producers. They kind of are one voice to kind of steer the program. Key dates for Hamilton. So as I already mentioned, April 1st of this year was our transition date, which is when the city is no longer responsible for the Blue Box program. This gives us a transition period from April 1st to December 31st of this year. That transition period differs from municipality to municipality based on when your transition date is. During this time, producers can't change collection days, what the acceptable materials are, but residents will need to obtain their blue boxes from Circular Materials. They have a contractor who's GFL, who currently collects the recycling, and previously through the city did this as well. The big changes right now are post-transition, which starts January 1st of next year, which is when an Ontario-wide Blue Box program is in place. One list of acceptable items, which we aren't quite sure everything that's going to be on that list right now. Different collection methods and collection days could change. Important to this group is sources. So in the provincial regulation, it does speak to what materials are supposed to be accepted, but also where they should be coming from. So what does this regulation apply to? What types of properties? And these are considered eligible sources. So producers are responsible for collecting material from single-family home, seasonal dwellings like cottages, apartment buildings, schools, non-profit retirement and long-term care homes, as well as public spaces. Those are all defined as an eligible source that producers are now responsible for collection from. Now, this leaves a little bit of a gap of who has currently received service or previously received service from the city of Hamilton, including, most importantly for this group, businesses, but also medical clinics, city buildings, daycares, churches, and other properties as well. So just to recap, eligible sources are part of the producer responsible program. Non-eligible sources are not. So what has changed on April 1st, 2025, or what is changing? So instead of contacting the city of Hamilton, residents as well as businesses must contact GFL for missed recycling collection, as well as for broken containers. Residents will need to purchase additional blue boxes. Two important changes at our depots. One is bulky rigid plastics are no longer accepted at our community recycling centers. And probably most important to this group is commercial cardboard is no longer accepted at our transfer stations. So we were allowed to keep our community recycling centers open and get funding from Circular Materials to do that. However, one of the stipulations is that only eligible material, material coming from eligible sources is accepted there. So what is not changing during our transition period? So I spoke about that being from April 1st to December 31st. Collection days stay the same. What's accepted stays the same. We still have a two-stream system. That's what we have in Hamilton. That continues to stay the same. Businesses and other non-eligible sources will still receive blue box collection during this period. That's been approved by council, so up until the end of this year. Non-eligible sources will be provided blue boxes through the city, so we will continue to do that if you are in need of those. and residents can still drop off blue box materials at community recycling centers. I would say that just to let this group know, one of the main reasons why we're able to keep the blue box material being collected from non-eligible sources during this time period is because Circular Materials is allowing those collection vehicles to collect the material in the same vehicle. So there's a cost savings, it's efficient, so that is, we are able to do that. Post-transition, so again, this is starting on January 1st. What do we know? We know that Circular Materials fully responsible for eligible sources. They can change collection days, method, and again, as I mentioned, the acceptable list. So what they choose to have acceptable in the Blue Box program throughout the entire province. What still needs to be determined? So probably most important to this group is the need to confirm program for non-eligible sources. So what non-eligible sources will get serviced, if any, and have their blue box materials collected. That report is currently scheduled to go to Public Works Committee on July 7th of this year, in which staff will put forward a recommendation to how to service or what the scope of service would be starting on January 1st. We still need to confirm the services at community recycling centers. We'll have a report going to Public Works Committee later this year. We're looking at September for that. And then also the need to confirm public space recycling program with Circular Materials and to confirm changes for acceptable items and collection day. I'm going to end with who is doing what. So this last slide just speaks to who needs to be contacted about different services. So anything to do with recycling should be going to GFL Environmental. One good thing is that GFL is the company that has been collecting recycling for years here in the city of Hamilton. They're currently our contractor and part of the city for garbage and recycling, but they've been collecting the recycling for a number of years. So that's good that we've got some continuity there. But anything to do with garbage, green bin, yard waste, and bulk, please contact the city of Hamilton. And that concludes my presentation, but I am very happy to take any questions from the group if anyone has anything in relation to this subject.
Are there any questions?
Emily has her hand up.
Oh, Emily, go ahead.
Hi there. Thanks so much for the presentation. Just curious if you have any, I guess, kind of foresight on what the recommendations going forward in July will be, if it's likely that the businesses will be losing pickup as of January 1st, or kind of what the vibe is there.
Yeah, so what I will say is that the recommendation hasn't gone to our director yet or the general manager, so I don't want to speak in too much detail about what that would be. Of what that recommendation would be. I might just say that it's definitely going to be a cost versus service conversation, obviously, and that we believe the cost to be significantly higher to provide this service as compared to the past. But I can't speak to what scope of service will continue. I would just say that there may be some. So.
Okay, and then secondly, as of January 1st, are there specific standards that have to be met in regards to like the public spaces recycling pickup, or are they allowed to make changes and decide things like the frequency of those pickups and stuff like that?
Specifically for the public space containers? Mm-hmm. So I would say that number one, producers will need to put out more recycling containers than are currently out on the road. So there's a formula to determine how many recycling containers we need in the city of Hamilton, just like any municipality. I think the number that producers have to have out there is around 1,500. I think for all of the recycling containers that we have out there right now, including at transit stops, I think we're somewhere in the neighborhood of between 400 and 600. So there's a lot of recycling containers that need to be put out there. The level of standard, so the collection, it should be, I believe, at minimum once per week, but there should be no recycling overflowing. So that's kind of what the standard would be. So it is the responsibility of the producer or the contractor to collect the material to make sure that it isn't a nuisance to the municipality.
Sounds great. And then just to flag with Christina, I think it'd be useful to make sure that we have all the contact info for any public space reporting issues going forward as well.
Okay, next up is Councillor Huang.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, just a question to Ryan. You did say that in your presentation, cost and service are going to be some of the considerations. What about some of the future infrastructure changes? So obviously top of mind is going to be LRT, but we also have lots of BIAs that might be undergoing in their surrounding areas, maybe road work or anything like that. So how would that potentially impact the non-eligible sources and their particulars pickups as for January 1?
And sorry, I should have said through the chair before, but through the chair. So back to you, just how the collection will actually happen when the construction is happening, when the BIAs are dealing with this. So as of January 1st, it will be completely on the city to determine how that happens. So we won't have to work through a third party like Circular Materials. We will be responsible for it. So obviously staff such as in the waste division that I work in will be talking with transit and whoever else to make sure that we can provide the service that needs to happen to the actual businesses, not the public space containers in those BAs, but the actual businesses. We'll make sure that we'll be able to coordinate that. Once again, pending the outcome of the recommendation, what's approved by Public Works Committee and Council, we'll be able to work with that.
So just a clarification point then through you, Chair. For the Public Works report, my concern is that there will be future implications on a lot of these infrastructure investments. And I want to make sure that those are also being considered for the July report. So then that way we're not getting piecemeal sort of like after the fact kind of presentation. So my hope is that we will also think future wise, like in terms of how we deliver these services or what are some of the opportunities, but those are also going to be at least considered for the July 7th report beyond cost and versus service, right? So I just, these LRT infrastructure, I think is going to be really, really impactful to all of our businesses. So I just want to make sure that something as crucial as waste or recycling collection is at least considered for all of that stuff. So thank you.
Okay, next up I see Tracy.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I just want to be sure that I'm understanding it properly. So the province has made recycling, they want to unify it provincially. And so that's just for residential and not for business pickup. Is that correct?
So through the chair, yes, that's correct. So
okay,
there's no obligations, regulation to have any blue box program for businesses unless municipalities wish to pay for it and operate it.
Pay for it. Okay, got you. Okay, so first of all, thank you to the councillors for making sure that our businesses get that picked up through the end of 2025. Thank you very much. And I'm just wondering if there's any opportunity, because all of us here are right in direct contact with all the businesses. Garbage is always a big issue with BIAs. We're the first to get called, the first to get complaints, etc. So I'm just wondering if there's any opportunity for the BIAs to even be able to comment as the report is being prepared and the staff are trying to decide. They haven't decided yet. I wonder if there's any opportunity for that.
So through the chair, is the question whether or not we can receive feedback on that report? I mean, we'd be Staff would be happy to receive any feedback. That's kind of why I'm here today, right? If there is any opportunities to receive any feedback from that, but also we wanted to make sure that this group knew that that report was going forward on that date, right?
Okay, so I'm looking more forward than that. Can we be involved in the discussions when you guys are making your decisions, because we're so severely impacted by this and what will happen? So it's more, we'd like, instead of just a quick, here we have 10-minute presentation, you know, there's not really enough to go on. I would have a whole list. I could probably talk for an hour on garbage and recycling. So just so we have more input into the decision making. That's what I'm sort of looking for. So I think it would call like a special meeting, like we just had with Nadine. There was a special meeting called for her topic, and we got to give our comments, pass that on staff. We had a good hour and a half to discuss. So that's sort of what I'm looking for, if there's an opportunity for that.
Yeah, so through the chair, we haven't scheduled anything as of yet. I can certainly take that back and see what we can do to arrange something. Take it back to the team here, for sure.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Next up is Nadine.
Thank you, through the chair. Yeah, thank you. Thanks again for the presentation. I do have a question around the coordination in areas where there is mixed, both residential and commercial, not necessarily in one building, as I understand then mixed use might be ineligible. But where we have designated residential areas within a commercial district, and the coordination so that if days do get changed for residential pickup, we don't end up in a position where we've got garbage and recycling on the street every single day of the week. So I guess the question is, how does the coordination or has there been consideration around coordination of efforts to streamline those processes within mixed residential and commercial areas?
So through the chair, just the coordination between the city and the producer's contractor to make sure that our vehicles are not conflicting with each other. I guess my concern is that knowing that for eligible properties, there's the ability to change days. And I'm thinking about my BIA in particular. We already have half of the BIA pickup is Tuesday morning. The other half of the BIA is pickup Wednesday morning. If the residential area within the center of my BIA now gets switch to Thursday or Friday morning, I'm going to have garbage on my street every day of the week. Yeah, so through the chair, one of the things that staff are looking at to potentially reduce cost is, does it make sense if we can collect, have our collection days for our BIAs change, because we might be able to. So obviously right now, or previously, our recycling contract has been throughout the entire city. So it's very, very large, and you can get economies of scale in your costing. So one thing that the City of Hamilton staff are looking at is trying to figure out how we might be able to reduce costs. And one thing is collection days. And because the economy of scale is so much lower, or we reduce costs by having more BIAs collected on one particular day. So that we are looking at trying to do that. What Circular Materials does and what their contractor does, obviously they are going to do whatever they find is most efficient, but we have been told that they do want to align as best they can with garbage days. So if everything is aligned with garbage day, the recycling would be picked up on the same day. We've been told. That's what what would be best and easiest for residents. And so that is what we're trying to do and work towards. So I don't think I've completely answered your question, but there's a few pieces there about that. And obviously staff will work as much as we can with Circular Materials and their contractor to kind of make sure that we're not in each other's way, but making things consistent.
Thank you. Yeah, I think through the chair, I'm curious about, generally the idea is that the program gets better, that we have the ability potentially to recycle more things, and that the processes to recycle them allows for a greater environmental impact or less environmental impact, whichever way you want to look at that. I would be interested to see if there's any sort of data around whether or not residential, or now I guess in this case commercial as well, being impacted in a different way. Is there a point at which we're confusing people to the extent that they're no longer recycling and just throwing everything in the garbage because it's just easier to do? And to your point, maybe if the idea is to try and coordinate so that garbage and recycling continues to be picked up on the same day, that as I imagine a resident in the city and also a business owner in the city, you could end up in a spot where you're taking garbage and or recycling to the curb 4 days a week. I'm just thinking like larger scale, right? And I guess there isn't really a question attached to that, other than I'm glad to hear that it sounds like Circular Materials and the city are looking to work together to streamline as much as possible.
Yeah, through the chair, I'll just respond to that just a little bit. So yes, we are working with them. We have a lot of conversations with Circular Materials and GFL and everyone from the producer side to make sure that everything is coordinated as best as possible. Your question about your comment about whether people just throwing everything into the garbage, producers, part of the regulation is that producers have targets that they have to hit for recyclability, right? So they need to, if I'm a paper producer, I need to make sure that X amount of tons of cardboard is recycled because that's what I put into the system. If it's plastic or whatever it happens to be, I have a target to meet. If everyone throws everything into the garbage, they're not going to hit their targets, and they'll be held accountable through mechanisms in the regulation. I'd also say that City of Hamilton waste staff have waste audits, so we know what the garbage stream looks like and how much of the recyclable content or how much recycling is in there, roughly around 22% in our garbage now. So we know what that is, and we can compare that and see if the program is going to get worse or better. So we know that we have that data, and we can take that to the province to say, yeah, your program is supposed to be effective, but it's actually gotten worse. So we do have quite a bit of data to use and to speak to. We're not the only municipality that has that, but I think we've got quite a bit of data here in Hamilton. We've done quite a bit of auditing over the last 5 years to help us make those arguments to the province and make those evaluations of the program. So I do want to be optimistic and say that producers will be able to hit those targets. And I think if they can't, they'll find ways to get more recycling however they can so that they do hit those targets so they don't have to pay any penalties. So hopefully that gives you a little bit of, that addresses one of the comments that you made.
Yeah, it's great to hear that data exists and that we can loop back and ensure that we're achieving the intention behind this change. So thank you.
Next up is Councillor Wilson.
Thank you. Thank you to Ryan for the presentation and the information. I know it is very pertinent to BIAs and small business in general, so thank you for sharing the information. I was going to ask questions similar to Tracy McKinnon, so if I could just probe a little further. And I beg your apologies because I cannot recall. You being here today and engaging with the BIAs, was that on the direction of council as part of the outreach process through the chair?
Through the chair, no is in preparation for the report that we have coming. So
okay.
We wanted to at least at minimum reach out to this group, let them know what was happening, the decision, bring them up to speed, because I'm sure everyone has a lot to worry about, and Blue Box regulations is probably not something top of mind for the group here. So that's why I'm here today. Yeah.
No, thank you. I appreciate that. I am a little, I think there is an opportunity. Let me position it in the positive. It's a lot of information to digest. It does have an impact on BIAs, and it's a councillor who is blessed with 2 BIAs, certainly the surrounding neighborhood on that interface with small business and residential. I appreciate your willingness to take this back with a request for consultation. It's a lot to digest, and I'm still digesting the details. And I'm wondering, maybe to assist you in that regard, if a formal motion from this body may be of assistance, that of a subsequent and special meeting to allow everybody around this table to think about, to go away and think about how this might impact and further questions. If we could formally request that engagement just on this issue far in advance of that report coming out to the chair.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it would also be a great idea to have you report back, Ryan, if that's possible, in the late summer or fall when we have more information, if everyone's in agreement with that.
Thank you. So if I could look maybe to Ryan, just so I understand your path forward. I thought I heard you say that there will be a report delivered at PW. Did I hear July? Through the chair?
Through the chair, yes. It's currently scheduled for July 7th.
Thank you. And the expectation on the deliverable for that report, is it an information report or is it a recommendation report on these topics?
Yes, through the chair, it will be a report for consideration. So it will have recommendations.
Okay.
It is.
So if I could be so bold to suggest a request, that we formalize a request that Ryan, could take under his belt, and that engagement just on this topic take place with the BIAs, so you can receive perhaps some further maybe more instructive or constructive engagement, and that might in enough time that it could inform some of your report in July. Thank you.
Yeah, so through the chair, I'll just say that July 7th seems like a long way away, but with our report deadlines and everything, especially with this report being a pretty important report, that it has other levels that it has to go through. Time is obviously of the essence, so I'm happy to work with this group. I'm not sure what a time frame would be suitable for this group to have more consultation, but happy to work with whoever I need to work with to make that happen. And I'm not sure who that would be at this point, if it would be the chair or if it would be through clerks.
I think that we could arrange something even through Christina to just have a quick, even Zoom, like a virtual call to discuss openly if timing is of the essence for everybody. Clerk, do you have anything to add to that, Elsie?
Yeah, so it wouldn't be through Christina, that would be through me. So the next meeting of this committee, scheduled meeting of this committee is June 17th. I'm guessing you will need to meet earlier than that in order to get that feedback back to you. And I guess I can work with Ryan on what kind of time frame, whether that's end of May, first week of June, whatever makes most sense to him, and then canvas committee for dates, and it would be a special meeting. So we would need, while the chair can call a special meeting, you're also asking for Ryan to report back for the purpose of consultation. So there is, as Councillor Wilson proposed at the beginning, a motion would be required to have him report back.
Okay, I'm happy to pass the chair to Nadine and put a motion forward. Is that what we need to do?
Well, I think Councillor Wilson has already put the motion forward, and so you can second by all means.
I'll second it, yeah, for sure.
And I think it would simply be report back to the BIA, to a special meeting of the BIA subcommittee meeting as soon as possible. Yeah, I'm not sure what other information we need. We can massage that wording afterwards. Perhaps we can put in the motion late end of May, early June. Or we can just say as soon as possible. Sorry, I'm seeing a lot of hands up and I don't know if it's questions.
I don't mean this to sound the way it will come out, but I believe I still have the floor.
You sure do.
Okay. So I guess my request would be that the motion would be that we formally request a meeting with Ryan and his division no later than early June for the purpose of receiving formal feedback from the BIA coordinating committee on the interface between these transitional changes and the BIA. Thanks.
Okay.
Mine would be a question on that motion.
Okay, so just want to make sure that, Susie, you're still good to second?
Yeah.
Okay, then go ahead. You can open the floor to questions on the motion.
Any questions on the motion, Emily?
Would we have the recommendation available at that time to give feedback to, or would it be more vague than that?
I can answer that question. Procedurally, you would not have the recommendation. The recommendation cannot be, and no part of the report can be released before it's on the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, do we need to vote all in favor, clerk?
If there are no other questions, then yes, it's time. You can vote now.
Okay, all in favor? And carried. Okay, I'd just like to, Tracy, did you have something you wanted to say, or I saw your hand go up there? No.
No, I was just going to second the motion with Councillor Wilson, but that's okay. Thanks.
Okay, I'm just going to pass the chair to Nadine for one quick moment so that I can speak to this. I think when this is all said and done, whatever comes from this, there also needs to be some budgeting from the city behind a very clear and decisive educational marketing campaign. I think one of the bigger issues that I've dealt with over the years here is the confusion of garbage pickup days and what's allowed and where and everything. So I think when everything is done and decided, the BIs need to have access to very clear and concise directions for our members that we can post on our websites, our newsletters, and social media. So that is something I just wanted to flag as something that would be very important, because unfortunately some businesses are just too busy to tune into these things, so they will be reliant on the BAs to get this information out to them. Okay, I'll take the chair back from Nadine now. Is there any other questions for Ryan? Okay, seeing none, may I have a mover and seconder to receive items 7.2 to 7.4?
Sorry, Chair, I did have one more question.
Oh, sorry, Councilor Wayne, go ahead.
I thought Councillor Wilson also asked if there was a report back after the report to PW on July the 7th to come back to this subcommittee. Did I mishear that? Or is that something that this committee might be interested in, seeing that report come back after the July 7th meeting?
I think I had suggested that, yeah. Like late summer, early fall, we get a follow-up to this so that we're all very clear on what the report states.
So is that something that needs to have a motion, or is that something that we can just put onto the agenda during agenda review, or that sort of thing? I'm just curious as to what the process is here.
So procedurally, because it's coming up at a meeting, you can certainly put a motion on the floor to have staff report back following the July 7th Public Works Subcommittee meeting, or actually probably following the council meeting after that. So following approval by council of that report.
So that would probably look like our August meeting then, right? But we don't have meetings in August, right? For this committee?
Let me look at the, no, we don't, but it might work for the July meeting. Hold on one second. I will just check the calendar.
So as LC Bates is looking at that, I just wanted to just ask, is that what committee is interested in seeing? If that's the case, then.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So pending the date on this, I can put the motion forward, but because it was chair's sort of recommendation, I'll put that motion forward just so that the chair doesn't have to relinquish her chair.
Sure. So the July meeting of this committee is the day before council. So it's a bit early, and then the next meeting would be, I mean, we do have an August meeting. Did we skip August? No, we do have an August meeting scheduled. It is typically canceled, but then the September meeting would be September 16th.
So perhaps it makes sense to have the content, like the presentation, still come forward at the July meeting, knowing that it has to be ratified by council the following day. But that might be at least a sneak peek, because the agenda and the recommendations will already have been published based on the PW meeting the week before. So it may just make sense based on our own committee schedule that to still move forward with this motion. So Elsie, I think I'm going to still move this motion to have a report back from staff and after the July 7th PW meeting to come and report back to this committee on what were the recommendations. And then that way we can still have the rest of the summer to strategize and to develop what a go forward plan looks like.
Okay, and do we have a seconder?
I think it will be Chair Braithwaite.
Yeah, we just second that.
Okay, perfect. And there's a speakers list, and Nadine first.
Yeah, Nadine.
Thanks. Just on that motion, could that then include a potential communication plan for the BIAs to put forward to their membership, to Susie's other point about the changes and making sure that they're communicated effectively? Maybe Ryan could comment as to whether that might be a possibility.
So through the chair, obviously, I'm the right person to be here because my group is with the outreach and education of residents.
Sorry, we can't hear you. You're cutting out a bit.
Your microphone is on. No.
Sure, what,
There.
you can't hear me now?
Yeah.
Nothing other than turn the mic on and off again, so I'm not sure what that was. Sorry, I was just saying that my team does deal with all of the education of residents, so we can certainly look at that and provide resources to businesses once we figure out what the plan is. You know, we can have a discussion at that point. What makes sense and what is a realistic communication plan, obviously, right? We obviously have a budget, but I'm happy to speak to this group and do whatever we can because it is our responsibility to provide that service to the businesses that we serve. So happy to have that conversation, and I think it makes sense to have it at that point in time for sure.
So Chair, I'm happy to add that as part of the motion if you're amenable to that. So not only will there be a report back on the recommendations, but there will be at least a draft communications plan to be considered at that report back. Thanks, Nadine.
Okay. Are we good to go?
I think Ryan wants to say something again.
Go ahead, Ryan.
I apologize, I didn't quite finish there, or thought just popped in my head. So just so that I'm clear, is the motion going to be that staff will bring back a draft communication plan at that point in time, as opposed to discussing and taking the ideas from the group here? Is just so I'm clear of what the ask is for that meeting.
I think that we are talking about a preliminary thought process. So rather than a full-on draft communication, like it was, at least it was opening up the conversation of what does this comms plan potentially look like? Because this will be a massive endeavor. So having that conversation at that report back, I think is going to be prudent.
Okay. I will have staff provide some tactics that we usually use and a few different things to kind of start the conversation so this group has an idea of a starting point at minimum.
Okay, great. Are there any more discussions on this topic? Okay, are we all good, Elsie?
Yep, you just need to vote on it.
Okay, all in favor? And carried. Okay, great. May I have a mover and seconder to receive items 7.2 to 7.4? Moved by Councillor Huang, seconded by Tracy. All in favor? And carried. All right, now we are on to 8.1, business improvement area presence at Supercrawl, and Nadine is here to introduce an item for discussion.
You guys are going to get bored of me today.
Never.
So some number of years ago, as a member and a board member in International Village, I had a co-working space, and we applied for a booth at Supercrawl as a collective, and were able to split up that time amongst the membership within our space to be able to have a presence at Supercrawl without taking on the burden financially of a booth, time-wise of 3 days, and it was a very successful endeavor. I recently had a conversation with a board member from Supercrawl who approached me with a very similar idea, and it was around having the BIAs have a representation of BIAs at Supercrawl in a way that allows for us to potentially communicate or educate about what BIAs are, what the advantages to being a member of a BIA, what functions we play. And I know this is a discussion or an item that has come up for a number of BIAs around this education piece. And in particular, International Village has done a great job through their social media of sort of launching a campaign around this education piece of what is a BIA. So I wanted to sort of query the group on whether or not there's an appetite to look at a presence at Supercrawl as a collective group.
Are there any questions for Nadine? Okay, I do have a question, so I'll just pass the chair to Emily for a second. So what would that exactly look like? Like, are we manning a booth, or is there just like an information table? Like, what would the actual physicality be?
Yeah, so through the chair, I think it would be maybe we could have somebody from the group at Supercrawl attend the next meeting, and we can look at what opportunities there might be for this group to have a presentation at Supercrawl, whether that be a booth or this was sort of a casual conversation. There wasn't really details around what the financial commitment would look like, if there is any, or whether it would be more of an organic presence. I don't know. But we could potentially have that conversation as a group with representatives from the Supercrawl board or committee.
Okay, I think it's a great idea. I think the only issue is going to be who can actually do it. I know that I'm out of town that weekend and whatever, but I would also be, and thanks for your compliments about our campaign about what is a BI. I'm also happy to contribute those assets, whether that's in print or a booth or something like that. Like, I'm very happy if our images are used for that, because that was the whole sole purpose of our campaign, was to just take it from a very keeping it simple to the general public as to what a BI is. And I think that's what we formed the campaign around. So just to mention that. I'll take the chair back from Emily now, and I see Heather has a comment.
Through the chair, I think that's a great idea. I'm happy to help out in terms of like manning a booth for some of the time too. But again, like, it's dependent on cost. But I think like if we can do giveaways of some sort and collect emails of people going by, or, offer printed items, something like that, I think it's a great idea.
And Tracy?
Yes, happy to help out. So Nadine, reach out, and happy to meet with the group Supercrawl guys to figure it all out.
Okay, then do we need a motion to have them come to the next meeting?
We do still have a speakers list going. Sorry, Stephanie's got her hand up, but yes, we would need a motion for that invitation.
Okay, Stephanie, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't see it.
Through the chair, I was just echoing, I'm very interested in participating and helping. Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, so the motion, who will put that forward? Nadine?
Yeah, so I guess the motion would be to ask representatives from the Supercrawl group. Not sure how they form. I know they have a board, but I don't know that it needs to be a board member, but a representative from the Supercrawl group to attend the June BIA subcommittee meeting to discuss, a BIA presence within Supercrawl.
I'm going to suggest that you put a future meeting, just in case their schedules, it doesn't work for their schedules.
Great.
And then that it will open you up for the next meeting as well.
Okay. And do we have a seconder for that? And Heather will second that. And all in favor?
I'm sorry, Susie, did you say you're seconding?
Heather seconding it, yeah. And all in favor? And carried. Great, thanks, Nadine. Was there anything else that you wanted to add to that discussion?
No, that's it. I'll wait for the next point on the agenda.
Okay, 8.2, Nadine is also here to introduce your item for discussion about the BIA passport proposal.
I told you guys are going to get sick of me. So remember Nosh? Okay. So that's not a thing that's happening. We did have a presentation at one time that format was going to change. But I still think that there is the potential to work with that group, which the name is escaping me at the moment. RAM?
The RAM team.
So if there's a way to engage those folks, my thought was around still supporting the food and beverage businesses within our BIAs, but potentially redirecting that group to look at creating not such a concentrated campaign necessarily, that it could be extended to some period of time. But the concept would be to create a passport that, and you know, this is just one idea, but where patrons could visit food and beverage businesses within each of the BIAs and, you know, whether it's uploading receipts or collecting stamps or whatever that looks like, to encourage folks to visit all of the BIAs over a period of time and still support food and beverage the way that Nosh did without Nosh. I'm happy to answer questions.
Any questions for Nadine? Okay, I'll pass the chair to Emily. I think it's a good idea. I'm just worried about putting anything on the businesses to have to do. So like if they're having to give out stamps or stickers, like a lot of my businesses are low on staff, especially in the restaurant industry right now. So I think, would it be best to, are we able to strike like a working group from this committee for that to look at options for that further? Elsie Bates, is that a possibility?
You sure can.
All right, perfect. So why don't we look at doing that? Nadine, are you okay to maybe take the lead on that and coordinate with us to get that going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yes. So it's a bit, it's not complicated, but it does complicate matters a little more. So we need a motion to have a, strike a working group to, so we have two things. One, we have inviting ECDev folks. If you're going to strike a working group, then you don't need a formal invitation to invite the ECDev folks, because that can be done as part of the working group, and the working groups can do that on their own. So, or working group singular. So you want to strike a working group, and you need to, so I think the terms of reference are pretty clear, to investigate the possibility of developing a passport, to replace the NOSH program or similar to the NOSH program. And then you want to decide who's going to be on it. So just be aware that you can have the maximum number of members you can have on this. The working group is 6, so that it doesn't achieve quorum for the larger group.
Okay. Nadine, did you want to add anything to that? No? Okay.
No.
So I'm happy to put, I think I still have the floor, so I'm happy to put that motion forward. Emily, I passed the chair to you, I think, didn't I? Right.
Sorry, I just have a question as well.
Sorry, is it a question about the working group? I just want to make sure we're procedurally on.
It's hard to say. It's kind of adjacent to working
Okay,
group,
so
I'd
let's
say.
get a seconder for that motion first. Yeah, Nadine has her hand up, so go ahead. Sorry, don't mean to take over the chair. I just want to make sure we're,
Okay, then all in favor.
no, you can,
Nope.
you can ask the questions. No voting, we're not voting yet.
Okay, so then my question was just kind of to the idea of programming for the BIAs and looking at these different kind of I don't know, activations and things that we do. There is a budget line in the yearly budget, or a project, I should say, that has funding for these kind of initiatives. And I was just curious about the oversight of that funding and whether there's a way we could get somewhat of an annual report on the kind of proposed initiatives that fall under that budget line and different projects, or ways that we could have feedback on what is included in that working plan.
Thank you, Emily. I have been voluntold by Clerk Bates to take the chair, so I will take the chair from you. So that sounds like a really great question. Let's see if Christina is available to answer that question.
Sorry, everyone. Looks like there goes my camera. Sorry, just so I understand the question, Emily, can you repeat what you were asking? Like what budget line are we asking about?
Absolutely. So sorry, I don't have the
Through the
exact
chair.
project number in front of me right now, but in the annual budget under economic development, there is an annual project number that is funded to, I believe it's support BIAs and downtowns, kind of a thing. And so I was just wondering if there was a way that we could annually provide feedback on what initiatives are included in that budget line, what that budget line is being used for, et cetera.
So through the chair, okay, so first of all, I will absolutely confirm if that budget line is still in existence with the new budget. And if it is, yes, there is absolutely, I will say that there will be absolutely an opportunity to provide feedback on what kind of initiatives the BIs would like to see funded by that. So
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emily. Right now, the motion is still on the floor, so moved by Susie, seconded by Nadine. Are there any other questions on this motion to strike a working group? Seeing none, I'll call the vote then. All four? Thank you. That looks like it carries. So back to you, Susie, for the chair.
Okay, great. Thank you. So is there any other discussions, Nadine, on this point?
No, that's everything. Thank you.
Okay, great. So we will move on to 11.1, updates from the Business Development Office, and Christina is here for an update.
Hello, everyone. Actually, I have no updates this week. I've been through regular contacts. I have nothing to share at this point.
Okay. Do we still need to receive that, Clerk?
No, if there's no update, there's nothing to receive.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so now we're going to move on to 11.4, statements by members. So let's start with Tracy from Westdale.
Thanks, Susie. So just in Westdale, we've got all our patios open. So thanks to councillors for making that a permanent program. Very important to the survival of businesses post-COVID. And in Westdale, we've certainly taken that program to the max, and it's great, especially over Mother's Day weekend. We had lots of people enjoying the patio, so people appreciate, and we are sure to tell everybody that it's a nice partnership that started through COVID, and our councillors thought through to make it permanent, so we appreciate that. We're just doing all our planning and stuff for all of our summer events and getting our place looking nice and green, and lots of flowers and stuff like that. And then we've had a couple places that moved out, and quickly, without even advertising, people have moved right in. So we have a couple new businesses opening up, a sweet shop and another sushi place. We've got lots of food in Westdale. So it's going strong. So the patios go hand in hand, which is great. We also neatly had our bookstore had a great independent bookstore day, and we have a local Westdale guy who just through COVID, walking around 10,000 steps, created a little guide. So we referred to that when we did the Jane's Walk last weekend, and that was well received. Even in the rain, people came out. And then moving on to Lock Street, similar, the patio program is going strong, and again keeps these little BIAs very vibrant. So we totally appreciate the program. We did our Jane's Walk too, and had lots of people out, even in poor weather. People appreciate it. Nice to see lots of people who had moved from Toronto in the neighborhoods now in Hamilton. So they like learning lots about it. We just have a couple new businesses opening where the condo tower was built. Dentistry Unlocked is one coming. So that place is now full, which is great. And we just sort of have one place for lease at the moment, which is nice. And we had a print and play new business opened up where Vintage Charm used to be. So it's nice, very vibrant street, lots of people walking, very busy in the sunshine on the weekend, which is great. And then moving on to Stony Creek, again, we love the patios there as well. So it's great, 3 different BIs all benefiting and appreciating the patio program. And we're again just getting ready with all of our summer events and getting the place looking nice and green and clean, and all 3 places, by the way. We have kept with perennials and have been doing that the last several years. So we're happy to see everything coming up nice and green. Thank you.
Thanks, Tracy. Okay, now we'll move on to Heather from Ancaster.
Okay, so we just had our summer student start, our first summer student of 2 from the Canada Summer Jobs Program, so that's exciting. We did a Jane's Walk as well, so we did a historic tour of the BIA here. It was a little bit rainy, but we did still have a good group out. We have a Mother's Day selfie station that's still set up outside of the BIA office here. Upcoming, we have our Ancaster Farmers Market, which starts the first week of June, Wednesdays 3 to 7. That same week, the first week of June, the Saturday, we have the Heritage Day Parade with the road closure and all the great events happening. So we have, there's a concert in the evening, there's an outdoor movie night. It's going to be a great day. And then we will have the Canada Day weekend drone show. So I'm just putting the final organization together for that, but that will be at Ancaster Memorial Arts Center. And then we have some new businesses. We have Contour Medical Aesthetics, and then we have Innovative Youth Solutions, which have opened in the BIA. And we also have 3 commercial units that are available for sale right beside the Ancaster Library, and that's in a historic building as well. That's the Gurnett store. So that's all from the Ancaster BIA. Thank you.
Okay, great. On to David from Dundas.
Thank you. In Dundas, Live and Local on June the 7th is our sort of low-key open streets celebration. Year 3, I believe. So this is taking most of my time now and sort of putting finishing touches on that, but all looks well. Our next not our event, but obviously affects us quite a bit, is Cactus Festival in August, and we are working diligently to work with the group that puts the event on and try to find a happy working relationship for that situation. So more on that. We are obviously, beautification is the big thing for us right now, and sort of getting greened up and ready to go. We'll have some new flags and banners go up before Live and Local, so that's really focused. I have about 100 applications to go through for our digital marketing specialist. At a quick glance, I think about 7 of them are worthy of a second look, but that is, I'm excited to have those to look at least. And we've, on the businesses in and out, I'm netting out to a -1. We've had 4 closures in the last month. 3 are coming in, and so we've got one that's sort of up in the air. So, but generally speaking, pretty happy with what's coming in to replace those businesses. And unfortunately, one of those business closures did mean a loss of one of our board members. So we are actively recruiting some help for our board members, because 4 people can't do all this. And so it's a real struggle here to get some help. So working on that. And generally speaking, I'm working with the group here to community outreach, build our relationships in Dundas with other groups that we are not working with and should be. So that's kind of the focus for us in Dundas at the moment.
Great, thanks. And we are now on to Nadine for Barton Village.
Yeah, so Barton Village Festival, June 14th. Certainly lots of promotion going around that. Happy to invite all of you to participate in that Saturday. It's going to be a great time. Planters are going to get sorted this week. Sort of a mixture of some bright, colorful annuals and some evergreen, I think they're called a Norway spruce, like a very round kind of manicured, very, very not Barton. So I'm looking forward to it. 3 CSJ summer students, all starting on the 20th. I'm really excited to have those folks this year and grateful that program is still alive and well. Couple of new businesses. We have a new neighbor for Jay Waldron. They're just doing a build out. I've been sworn to secrecy about what it is, but you can all look forward to more great food on Barton coming up. A new medical clinic opening at Barton and Birch, also still under construction, but right across from where our farmers market will be starting in June. June 8th is the first date for that, and will run through the end of October on the 2nd and 4th Sunday of every month from 9 till 1. Lots of vendors happening for that as well, which is exciting. Our associate membership program is going very well. We've included some new associate members, one of which is our neighbors and friends at the new net zero green storage facility on Studebaker. It's a gorgeous facility. If you get a chance to come by, you'll be able to see where we've moved our events library to. I wish I could show you pictures because it's absolutely stunning inside. It's a drive-through facility, so you can drive your vehicle in, load up your stuff that you've rented for the day, and then drive out the other side. It's very, very cool, and would love to show you all if you have an opportunity to come down to their grand opening, which is happening tomorrow afternoon. I wish I could remember what time, but if you message me, I can send you the details. Yeah, that's it from Barton.
Okay, thanks. Next up is Emily from downtown.
Yeah, pretty status quo update over here, just in the thick of getting all the details figured out for summer events, and also hiring 2 summer students as well. We have one closure on John Street of Pulse Medical, but then an exciting new opening in the Royal Connaught of the Dapper Dog Den, which is going to be a dog grooming place. So I think it's going to do really fantastic there, and excited to have them join the BIA. We also just refreshed our associate membership policy and are excited to start promoting that a little bit more. And yeah, I think that's it for me.
Okay, great. Next up is Stephanie from Ottawa Street.
Hello, everybody. I will begin with So Hungry. On Saturday, we had So Hungry. Before I begin talking about So Hungry, I want to first thank Councillor Wang and Councillor Nan for giving a generous donation to help support our live entertainment for the day. So Hungry was very well attended. Thank you to the members in this meeting that joined Ottawa Street for the day. Not only did the trucks have a wonderful day, but our business owners have shared that they had some record sales, and I can't wait to share some info next meeting. Of course, it's just this weekend, so I don't have tons of facts, but everyone's very happy with So Hungry. In addition to So Hungry, we also have our job posting launching today for a part-time position in our BIA. So if you have anyone looking to work within a BIA or any recommendations, please send them our way. In addition, we are also recruiting some board members. So if you know someone on Ottawa Street and you want to give them a gentle nudge to join our board, because sometimes my gentle nudge isn't enough, please do. I hope to have more updates about beautification next meeting. We are awaiting some permits, but we will be painting our benches in the color of our brand, our logo, to brighten up our street and to make it a little more welcoming to sit and stay for a while. Our patios are open, our temporary patios are open at the Argyle as well as Mac TD Bar. And with that, Malarkey, owned by the Argyle, is soon to be opening, and they have a large patio space. So please come to Ottawa Street and enjoy our wonderful, wonderful sunny patio. Let me see if I have anything else. Rainbow Roller Rink will be happening in June, where we turn one of our parking lots into a roller skating rink. And then following up in August, we have our movie night series where we turn our parking lot into a drive-in movie theater. I can't wait to get these events going. Thanks for our update.
Great, thanks. I'm going to pass the chair to Nadine so that I can do an update for International Village. We are happy to announce that the city finally greenlighted our pole wraps project for our area. So yay, we know that's been a struggle. So we got that going. We're just working on finalizing the design work, and then hopefully that will go up in time for Pride Month next month. We are heavily planning our Pride event for Open Streets on June 22nd, partnering with House of Adam and Steve again this year. And we're looking at some events for the year that I can't actually announce just yet because I'm waiting on seat approvals and things like that. But there is one that I'm very excited about for July, and I will mention that next month, hopefully. We are very busy right now with advocacy efforts for the downtown. Most of my days are busy with meeting with different staff from the city as well as the police. I have a meeting after this today with the police. Trying to navigate some of these challenges that we're facing within the boundaries of ABAs, mostly being Ferguson Station and encampment, still a big issue there. So actually next Thursday, Emily and I are going to present to the senior leadership team of the city about downtown and some of the challenges that we're facing. So we're very excited to get an opportunity to do so. And yeah, just really busy with advocacy and trying to plan fun things and keep the joy flowing in International Village. So I will take the chair back from Nadine. And may I have a mover and seconder to receive the statements from members? So moved by Stephanie, seconded by Tracy. All in favor? And carried.
And Madam Chair, sorry, before you adjourn, I do realize that we were a bit negligent in finishing up business with respect to the motion on striking the working group. We, I think, agreed we'd have up to 6 members, but we did not identify who those members were. So I would love to do that now so I can include that as part of that motion. We did have a number of people who said they would be willing to assist. Heather, Emily, Tracy, Nadine, Stephanie, and Susie, I believe you also indicated that. So that is 6. Is everyone agreed? All of those 6 people agree to serve on the working group? Okay, perfect. And Christina will be the staff liaison for that group. I will be in touch shortly after this meeting about how to move forward on that. Thank you.
Okay, great. All right, there be no further business. The BI subcommittee meeting is now adjourned at 11:58 p.m. Have a great day, everybody.
AM.
Take care, everybody.
AM, sorry. I wish it was PM.